The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus said to his disciples, "Do not give what is holy to dogs, or throw your pearls before swine, lest they trample them underfoot and turn and tear you to pieces. Do to others whatever you would have them do to you. This is the law and the prophets. Enter through the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the road broad that leads to destruction, and those who enter through it are many. How narrow the gate and constricted the road that leads to life, and those who find it are few." The Gospel of the Lord. It's wonderful to be here with you. It's a bit strange being up here and not sitting in the pew with you, but nonetheless, I'm glad to be here. In our baptism in Jesus Christ, we are called to defend the dignity of every human being, regardless of the circumstances. This is the narrow gate, the unconditional love of Jesus Christ, in which death has been conquered and eternal life has been restored to us. We see this in the life of Aloysius Gonzaga. In caring for the suffering and dying, he lovingly accepted dying with Christ to rise with Christ. In our first reading from the book of Kings, we see another segment of the history of Israel, where God sends his word through the prophet Isaiah, telling the king Hezekiah that he will not abandon his people against a godless nation. Again and again, Israel and its kings turned away from God, and again, God sent prophets to save them, finally sending his only Son to redeem us and to show us the way, the truth, and the life. In the Gospel today, we are shown the challenge of the narrow way, its great value, and how it measures up to the greatest wisdom of the ages in the Golden Rule, which is a revelation of God through other religions and cultures. This revelation is a seeking of all humankind, the meaning and harmony of all things, from the very beginning of time. We find various forms of the Golden Rule in ancient Egypt, in Confucianism, and in Hinduism. But if we follow Jesus and his instructions in yesterday's Gospel, where Jesus tells us not to judge, we will not throw others or ourselves, that are pearls of great value, into a vicious cycle of judgment, which is a pit of trampling dogs and swine. In the conclusion of the Gospel today, we ask, how narrow is the gate that leads to life? It's Jesus Christ. How rough the road? It's the suffering that leads to eternal life. How few are those who find it? It is those who love God with their whole heart, mind, and soul, and their neighbor as their self.